Sorry.
What's up, guys?
We are ready to go. We've been excited. We've been sitting here just patiently waiting because we cannot wait to get on talk to you guys today.
Pacing.
Welcome to the Right Physical Therapy Show. I'm Dr. Kate Anderson. We got Dr. Spencer Townsend, a familiar,
Hey, everyone.
a friendly face.
Yep.
All right, we're happy to have you back on the Right PT Show.
Good to be
I do
back.
want to say that I'm very excited for Spencer. He's going to be participating in the Spudman.
I am very excited.
My prediction is that he wins the whole dang thing. I don't know how he's
You
gonna
heard
do
it here first,
Yeah.
folks. You know what I'm saying?
We're excited for all those that are going to be participating in the Spudman Triathlon, and we're going to be there. We're going to be waiting at the finish line for when people are having their aches and pains. We'll be there with our magic hands and our tools and making sure people are feeling better. And so we're excited about that, and good luck to you, Spencer.
I'll be definitely coming to the booth afterwards. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I wish you were there to work on me.
I know, I'm sorry, but it's going to be good, man. I'm
But
excited.
yeah, it'll
for
be
you.
awesome. It'll be
In
fun.
fact, we'll come on and report how Spencer did, right? And
Yeah, I'll report back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
we'll report
when
back.
I'm on the podium, I'll let you guys know.
Yeah,
You know?
that'll be good.
Just kidding.
Well, we're excited to be here today. Just one thing we want to touch base on really quick. So we are doing the Stuff the Backpack campaign, which is basically you can come in, you can donate school items to us, you can donate money that we can go buy the school items, whatever it is you can do. We'd love to do that. We pass that, we go and we pass that around to our local communities and make sure that all kids in the area have the school supplies that they need. And I tell you what, I got my school supply list and it's big.
Big this year.
It is big
Especially
this
coming
year.
off last year. You know what I'm saying, everyone?
Exactly. So please, we're doing that through August 13th. So please, if you can, donate. We would love to get that out to the kids in the local communities. And so, Spencer, we're very excited to be here today because we're talking about, you're an injured athlete, okay?
Absolutely.
Right in the middle of the season. And guess what? Your team needs you, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you get back to the sport, right? And so
Right.
we're very excited to talk about that. Now, the honest truth is that this can be kind of a stressful and dramatic thing, honestly, right? I think
Yeah.
we've all been a part of that, right? Like, key player on your team is out, right? You're all sitting there saying, we need this guy, right? And you start to wonder, what's going on with this guy? Is he going to come back? There's all sorts of things that you hear, like, well, it just needs to be able to tolerate pain. Like, if you can just push through the pain, you can play. We need him, different things like that. There's just so much more that goes into it. And so we want to talk about this. We want to make sure that people return to sport safely, right? Because if not, you can really get into a position where you can cause further injuries down the road. And so when it comes down to it, I think that most people consider, hey, as soon as I can tolerate the pain well enough to play, I probably should be able to return to sport, right? Like, I think that's the way most people are. I hear that all the time. In fact, it's just a pain tolerance thing at this point, right? Like, once they can tolerate the pain, they can get back on the court, they can get back on the field or whatever it may be. But there really is just so much more that you need to consider. You have to consider the health of the tissue, right? If it's damaged, what does that mean for when you go put an excess load on it in the sport that you're trying to play, right? And the tolerance of your ability to handle those different things, that can easily lead to further injury. Now, I do want to say this because I think this is important. It's always important to have context around these conversations because let's just say, for example, it's the state championship game next week in baseball and you have a hamstring strain and, at this point, it's like this is the last game you might ever be playing, like competitively, right? Or it's the biggest game of your life. You don't want to let people down. We understand, right? Like there are times where it might be the right decision to push through some pain and be out there for your team and be out there to try and play, right? And we would never do anything to try and take you from that, right? In fact, there's a lot of things we can do to help ramp you up and get you feeling as good as you possibly can going into those games, right? And then we have the ability to do that. We're happy to do that. What we're talking about right now is when you get that hamstring strain and it's late March and you're at your first tournament of the year, right?
Yeah.
Those are not to say those aren't important games. Every game is important. But that's probably a good time that you take a step back and say, hey, is it worth it for me to get in and play right now? Or should I consider more things to make sure that I'm good later in the year, right? Mm-hmm. So Spencer, give us an idea of kind of what it looks like, kind of that multifactorial nature of what you need to look at when you're trying to return to sport.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there are a lot of, obviously we have a lot of different sports, a lot of different things that need to be taken into consideration when we're returning back to our sport. And I think that myself included, I feel like a lot of people think like, hey, if I'm just kind of like out of pain right now, and I'm just a little bit, I'm strong. I feel like I'm good to go. I can just get back into it. But I can tell you, time and time again, I have been injured, and I feel like I'm fine. Like, I have had problems with my Achilles, let's just say, for example, and I have been feeling good over the next couple weeks, and then all of a sudden I go into a race, and it's killing me that day. You know what I mean? And I felt like I was good to do the race because, I felt like I was out of pain, I was good to go, but I wasn't, because there weren't a lot of other factors I had taken into consideration. For example, not only do we have to look at strength when returning back to sport, but we have to look at your endurance. We have to look at your motor control. Whenever your body is moving, especially in explosive manners like we are in performance and activities during sports, we have to make sure that timing is on point. We want to make sure that the body and the brain, or the muscles and the brain, are communicating properly to provide the necessary support and structure that is needed to perform that dynamic stability and that dynamic mobility that is needed in the sport that you're getting back to. And that's something that we often do within our clinics. We have actually developed full-on return to sport protocols where we run through our athletes to make sure that their endurance is in check, that their stability is in check, that from a motor control standpoint, their brain is basically keeping their joints in the way that it needs to be, and that they're strong enough to compete at that level that they need to be at.
Yeah, which is perfect. It's incredibly important. Like he said, it's not just about your pain tolerance. It's not just about like, hey, I'm feeling good, I should get out there. There's so much more that goes into this, and I promise you won't perform at your best, and you'll be very at risk at injury if you're purely basing it on the pain that you're feeling, or just how you're feeling getting out on the court or field, right? Now, another thing that's very important, let's say that you do have that hamstring strain at the first tournament of the year, and now it's time to start working your way back up. One of the worst things you can do is go from the training room right back to the field, or right back to the court, right? It really does need to be a gradual progression back to what you're doing. And so if you've been in the training room, you're resting, you're trying to get that thing where it needs to go, you're doing rehab, you're doing physical therapy, you're working with your athletic trainer, whatever it may be, right? At that point, when you're starting to feel like, okay, it's time to start testing it, you should initially start with just some light exercise, okay? So light cardio, light strength training, and see how your body responds to that. Your body will tell you if it's ready for that or not, right? And if it's not ready, well, then you're for sure not ready for a game, right? If you go do some light strength training and some cardio, and it flares that thing up, I promise you, you're not gonna be able to go out on the field and sprint and move around and do the things that you want to do in that dynamic sport, right? Once you can do that, and you can feel like you can do that without any initiation of symptoms, at that point you want to get into doing sport-specific drills, right? So let's just say it's basketball, right? If it's basketball, you should start getting some shots up. You should start cutting. You should start getting down in this defensive stance, shuffling, like everything that you need to do, some sport-specific drills, non-contact, no one else around, just to make sure that your body can tolerate the load that needs to happen within those activities, okay? That's the next thing. If your body can't tolerate that, again, I promise you're not going to be able to tolerate a game without being injured, okay? Once you're able to do that, then you want to get into some participation within the practice, and some non-contact participation in practice, right? If you're a football player, you can get out there, you can start running routes, you can start having the quarterback throw to you, you can start doing the things that you need to do, right? But non-contact, we're not taking hits yet, we're not doing anything that way. Same thing with basketball or any other sport that you're trying to get back to, soccer, rugby, right? That's going to be a hard one to have non-contact, but that's the first thing you want to do. And then once you tolerate that, then you want to become a full participant in the practice, including contact. Once you've been able to do all those things, you can then say, okay, I've gone through the steps needed, now I'm able to return to the actual game, right? Never skip those steps, because I promise you that's when the injuries happen. Now again, within context, we understand there's the state championship game, there's this and that are going on, but the best way you can handle to where it doesn't become a chronic issue or a bigger injury, which is things that we see all the time in professional sports, college sports, where it's a nagging injury that turns into a large one, like an ACL tear or a patellar tendon tear or whatever it may be, Achilles tear. That's the things you want to avoid, and you do that by a gradual return to sport.
And that's I think that Kate has laid that out beautifully of like, hey, these are the stages that need to take place in order to return to sport. But that's what's so important, to make sure that wherever you're at, whatever stage you're in, is communicated effectively. You know what I mean? I know that there, like Kate was talking about, if it's making a decision as to if it was the first game of the season or the last. That is an approach that needs to be taken from a multidisciplinary team, basically. That comprises of you as the athlete, right? That comprises of your physical therapist, your athletic trainer, your coach, your doctor, your parents. Everyone needs to be on the same team and make sure that everyone's on the same page to progress you forward. Because if there is lack of communication between those members of the team, it's just going to be a disaster going forward. And so making sure that is on point and making sure that everyone knows this is what stage we're in, and we don't progress until we've met these criteria.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's incredibly important. You have to, it's just so multifactorial. There's so much that goes into a safe return to sport. There has to be consultation with all members of the sports med team to make sure that's done appropriately. Now, as for us, we do offer return to sport testing. So we have isokinetic testing, we have agility testing, we have strength testing, mobility testing. There are special tests that would be able to tell us if there is some kind of diagnosis that may cause you to have further injury. There's different things that we can do to help ensure that you're able to return to sports safely. We offer that at any of our 14 clinics. We are spread throughout eastern Idaho, from Rigby down through Ammon, Shelley, Blackfoot. We're through the Mini Kaja, Burley, Rupert. We're through the Magic Valley. We got it all.
We're everywhere. Just name them all.
Twin Falls, 2 in Twin Falls. We got 1 in Jerome. We got 1 in Wendell, and then we're up in Boise. We're in the Garden City area. We're right near the mall, Stillhead Way, and then we're over in Meridian on Jade Avenue. And so we have 14 clinics. Every one of them are able to do this. Please contact your local Right Physical Therapy. Let us know how we can help you get back to sports safely. And in the meantime, reach out here if you got any questions. Anything else you'd add?
No, let's just get after it. We're very excited to be your partners in getting you back to the field.
Okay, perfect. If you need me to help shave your head so you glide through the water in the triathlon,
I need to take this off too.
I'm
You know
there
what
for you.
saying?
He's just going to glide through the water. So
You
good
guys
luck to
rock.
Spencer, and good luck to everybody else participating in the Spud Man.
Thanks, guys.